I'll tell you about my garden trauma. I tried growing tomatoes in San Francisco for almost 20 years with almost no luck at all. And I know why now. Late blight. You grow a perfectly bushy, verdant, luxuriant tomato plant, and then you see one little spot of black on a stem or a leaf. In 2 weeks, the whole thing's dead. So that's my garden trauma. But recently, I've moved from San Francisco to San Rafael. It's the same hardiness zone, zone 10A, but it's a lot drier. And I've been having so much luck growing things in this much drier environment. And today, there's a long introduction about me, but today I got a tomato tip. And that secret is Buzz Pollination. So actually I had my friend McKeel came over, and he saw my tomato plants, which are doing really well in this dry weather, and he said, you know to shake them, right? And I was like, what? And he said, no, you shake them so that the pollen, they pollinate. I'm like, really? That sounded like a bunch of hooey to me. But it turns out tomatoes are self-pollinating. So they have both the stamen and the pistil in the same flower, and ostensibly they pollinate themselves. Except they don't always. Sometimes you get a tomato and it doesn't have any seeds in it, or it's misshapen, one side has a bunch of seeds, the other side doesn't. That is because you have incomplete pollination. And it turns out there's some truth to what McKeel said. That shaking it or light breeze helps to pollinate the tomatoes. There's something that does a much better job. That's bumblebees. Bumblebees grab the tomato flower and they vibrate at between 250 and 400 times per second. And that vibration loosens up the pollen out of the stamens, which don't really want to give it up, and puts it on the pistil, and that pollinates the flower. Now, I don't have any bumblebees around, so I need to find something else that vibrates at 250 to 400 times a second, or 250 hertz. So if you think about it, what do you have in your house that vibrates 250 hertz? If you said electric toothbrush, you'd be right, but only certain electric toothbrushes, because a lot of electric toothbrushes vibrate at 40,000 times a minute, which if you do the math, you divide the minute by 60 to get the times per second, that's more than 400 hertz. That's too fast to do what needs to be done. So I was looking around, and I didn't have a toothbrush, but I did have something else. Now, don't judge me, because this is called garden trauma, and this is where we heal our garden trauma. But I had a sex toy, which vibrates at 15,000 cycles per second. It just happens to be the perfect thing for pollinating tomatoes. And I even improved on it by attaching a small paintbrush. It turns out that's exactly 250 hertz. It pollinates the flowers perfectly, and I went from getting just a few of my flowers setting fruit to all of the flowers on a truss setting fruit, and my tomatoes being big and juicy and bursting with seeds and juice and all the good stuff. So that's the garden tip. It's our first one, and I intend to share more gardening tips on growing tomatoes and other fruits and vegetables going forward. So I'd encourage you to subscribe, and together we can heal our garden trauma and enjoy a bountiful harvest.